I'm more than happy because Hansi Flick understood perfectly what is our treasure, our jewel, that is La Masia.
La Masia is Barcelona's gift that keeps on giving. They've been producing world-class talent for years, including the best player the world has ever seen. When it gets down to it, the real question is, why must football fear La Masia's academy? And who is the new kid they've got that's already turning heads? La Masia is just as important to Barcelona as the players are to the club. See guys, initially the place used to be a farmhouse when Barcelona moved to the Nou Camp in the mid-90s. But when Johan Cruyff came along, he changed everything and laid the foundations for La Masia's modern-day success.
Tiki, Taka, that's something like this. So he puts the ball but as quick as possible and these sort of things. But it's when we started in Barcelona to do positioning play. It's responsibility of the ball, where you play, how you play. Controlling the ball is the basis of football.
Cruyff's philosophy was simple, the one he used at Ajax to make the team successful. He knew that if he wanted the club to become unstoppable and dominate Europe, the ideas had to be the same, and everyone at the club had to follow them, from the first team down to the academy, just like he did at Ajax. Cruyff made sure the ideas of total football and the passing game, Tiki-Taka, became the system all youth levels at La Masia adopted. It's 2024 now, and it's safe to say that system worked. He's a current example of the insane talent Barcelona has in the game now. Lamine Yamal needs no introduction. He's already been crowned as the next GOAT in football by both Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. Week in and week out, he keeps delivering with assists like this.
Here comes a chance for Dani Olmo, turns it in!
Or goals like this. And don't forget that one in El Clasico. You get the idea by now. The kid is special, and yeah, he's La Masia grown. Lamine Yamal is so special that he made his debut for the first team aged 15 at the end of the 2022-23 season. I need you to let that sink in. He was playing for Barcelona and hadn't even turned 16 yet. He's broken so many records along the way, becoming the youngest player to score in La Liga, the youngest player to start in La Liga, the youngest player to start in the Champions League, the youngest player to assist in the Champions League, the youngest player to play in the Euros, the youngest player to win the Euros, beating Pele's records. These are just some of the records. I could make an entire video just based off the stuff he's achieved at 17 already. Lamine Yamal is a special talent, currently balling for Barcelona's first team and has become an integral part of the squad. And it gets better if you're a Barcelona fan when you realise he isn't the only one. Pau Cubarsi. He's as hard as they come, and he's got Barca DNA running through his veins. Lamine Yamal gets all the attention as the standout name from La Masia currently playing in the youth team, but that doesn't mean he's the only one. Pau Cubarsi has been just as incredible this season. He's been a mainstay in that Barca defense. He's still only 17 years old, and he's already played against some of European football's best attacking forces and come out on top. Made his debut for the Spanish national team as well. He's not just one for the future, he is the future, and maybe a blast from the past. Seeing him soldier on with that injury kind of reminds me of Carlos Puyol. Cubarsi could definitely become just as good if he keeps up that current level. It's still not just these two Barcelona have from La Masia playing at the highest level right now. The likes of Alejandro Balde, Fermin Lopez and Gavi, all these guys came through the La Masia system and are now playing for the senior team in major football. If you've noticed a trend in recent years, there's a reason behind it. Before the current crop of youngsters got promoted to the first team, between the period Pep Guardiola left in 2012 up to Ronald Koeman's departure in 2021, very few Barcelona youngsters made it to the first team, and that's because they left the system that club had used to succeed for years. In that period, Barcelona became an active force in the transfer market, and they spent big. The only problem is, they spent big on players that didn't work out. Philippe Coutinho from Liverpool for 135 million euros. Ousmane Dembele from Borussia Dortmund for 135 million euros. Antoine Griezmann from Atletico Madrid for 120 million euros. These three are the three most expensive signings in Barcelona's history, all signed between the periods of 2017 and 2019, It's 2024 now, and the combined total of 390 million euros Barcelona spent on these guys is down the drain because none of them are at the club anymore. Barcelona spent heavily and in turn, combined with the financial problems of COVID-19 brought, and the fact that most of these transfers were paid in installments, with Barcelona having to pay every season, the club entered an economic meltdown, a crisis so bad they even had to let the best player the club had ever produced leave. Messi left for free. Joan Laporta came along, and in trying to find solutions to the problem at hand, he knew what the answer was. See, at the time, because of all the financial problems the club was experiencing, Barcelona couldn't exactly sign these high-profile players anymore, and this became a problem. To compete against the likes of Real Madrid in the league and the rest of Europe, they needed quality players. And that's when Laporta realized there was no point going all out to get these quality players abroad, when they could revert back to the system that had made them successful and use the players they had in the first place. Out went Ronald Koeman and in came Gavi, and with that, the La Masia talent started to flow. During his time as head coach, Gavi gave over 15 professional debuts to young players from Barcelona, including the likes of the already mentioned Fermin Lopez, Pau Cubarsi, Marc Casado, and Marc Guiu. Barcelona began trusting the youth again. So why is La Masia so good? Well, guys, there are a lot of reasons for that. First off is because they all share the same philosophy. We already touched on the impact Johan Cruyff had at the club and how he started the idea of integrating the youth players into the first team by making sure everyone used the same tactics. But after Cruyff left, different managers came along, and these guys didn't exactly see it the same way, until the man who had Cruyff's support took the position of Barcelona head coach in 2008. Pep Guardiola. See, under Pep, it wasn't just a case of giving these guys debuts, it was now about forming a system. Pep himself had played under Johan Cruyff in his active playing career and knew what the style was about. When he took over as head coach in 2008, he was taking over a team that effectively was a one-man unit. They'd failed to win any trophies in the 2007-8 season and relied heavily on the brilliance of players like Ronaldinho and Samuel Eto'o to win games, which wasn't cutting it. Under Pep, I don't think this needs any explanation of how successful he was. But the point behind this is, Pep's success was built at the core of La Masia talent. The likes of Victor Valdez, Carlos Puyol, Xavi Hernandez, Sergio Busquets, Andrea Iniesta and Lionel Messi. All these guys, who were very important parts of the Barcelona team Pep built that dominated the late 2000s and early 2010s, all had their roots in La Masia. There is another reason why La Masia is just as important in the football world, and I'll let you in on this in a couple of seconds. But first, you see that subscribe button to Football Historia? In case you haven't clicked it already, hit it to get exclusive video releases. La Masia is the answer to Barcelona's biggest rivals, Real Madrid and the Galacticos. The idea behind this is that Real Madrid developed a system of buying the best players in the world, most times for huge amounts, and getting them to come play for them. The likes of Eden Hazard for 120.8 million euros, Gareth Bale from Spurs for 101 million euros, Cristiano Ronaldo from Manchester United for 94 million euros, even going as far back as the likes of Zinedine Zidane from Juventus for 77.5 million euros, and Luis Figo from Barcelona for 60 million euros. They were even buying from Barca. The point is, Real Madrid's idea of buying these star players for heavy amounts, while it looks unethical, was producing results. Champions League titles, La Ligas, Copa del Reyes, they were winning. And Barcelona needed a response to that. And that's when La Masia started to become a thing. So, where Real Madrid spends heavily, Barcelona relies on homegrown talent. And as they've shown in the past, these guys can cut it in the big leagues and deliver results. So what makes La Masia and the talents they produce special then? And why must Europe fear them? Honestly, watching these guys play, it's clear that at La Masia, they're taught not just to play the ball, but to play with freedom as well. This excerpt here, from a teaching class in La Masia, sums up what the place is all about, using the best example possible. La Masia isn't an academy that looks at physical attributes alone in judging players. It takes into account who the player is, how well the kid understands the game, and how they can help him build that. It makes them believe by mastering the art of controlling the ball, they can control the game, allows them to see what other players don't, and that's by improving the vision and communication between teammates. Look at the likes of Lamine Yamal, Gavi, Cubarsi, and one thing common between all three, and even the rest of the academy graduates, is that despite their age, they play with a freedom that's uncommon to see in the modern game. Barcelona really has these youngsters believe they can take on anyone, and it's working too. They're doing it effectively. Another reason why La Masia should be feared by the rest of Europe is that the academy only trains the best. According to reports, each year, more than 1,000 boys between the ages of 6 to 8 try out the academy, and only the best 200 get selected. This roughly translates to the fact that to be in the academy, that kid has to have one of the most insane potential talents in the world. That's how competitive it is. But it goes beyond just having kids come to the place to tryouts. Barcelona is smart enough to understand that some of the best talents in the world are hidden gems, and that's where they need scouts to find them. Barcelona and the staff at La Masia have scouts in locations such as Europe and South America, where they continue to scout for the best young talent in the game. That's how they found Lamine Yamal, playing on the streets for his locals Roca Fonda. And that's how they got to know about Messi's talent in South America with Newell's Old Boys all those years back. Because the club knows how important the place is, it's treated as a top priority. La Masia operates at a cost of over $6 million per year, which includes housing and accommodation for more than 80 athletes across the youth team sports, meaning it's not just football being trained at La Masia. Other sports like basketball and handball are developed as well. Coming back to the modern-day football now, Barcelona's La Masia boys are flying. Lamine Yamal won the Copper Award for being the best young player on the planet a few weeks back. It gets better when you realize 2 of the last 3 winners have been from Barcelona's La Masia Academy, Lamine Yamal and Gavi. La Masia is Barcelona's gift that keeps on giving, and right now they're a dangerous weapon to the owners. Under Gavi previously and Hansi Flick currently, Barcelona has evolved into a team that knows how to get the best out of young talent. Gavi resurrected a process that seemed dead, and now Hansi Flick is making the most of it. In this current team, the likes of Yamal, Balde, Marcasado and Cubarsi, all these guys aren't just members of the team, they're regular starters too. Hansi Flick has created an environment that shows these guys just how much he trusts them, believes in their abilities, and wants them to become part of the first team. We've already seen them produce some incredible results this season. The 4-0 El Clasico win against Real Madrid? Lewandowski's second goal was beautifully assisted by Alejandro Balde, a La Masia graduate, or Lamine Yamal's goal, made in La Masia, which has been Barcelona's theme this season. 6 of the 11 players that started that incredible El Clasico win versus Real Madrid are from La Masia. We've spoken a lot about the current talent in the team, and the truth is, La Masia extends beyond that. There are talents who have taken their skills, learned from the academy abroad, and also gone on to succeed. The likes of this guy. One of the most exciting talents in the world, Xavi Simons, has his roots in La Masia, playing for Barcelona all those years back. Here's another one I bet you didn't know had his foundations in La Masia. Manchester United's current first-choice goalie, Andrea Nana, used to be a La Masia player years back. However, guys, when mentioning successful La Masia talent, it's impossible to look beyond the GOAT. For everything he's done and what he is to the sport, Lionel Messi is the greatest player the game has ever seen, and if you guessed it, he got his development phase of football in La Masia. Messi came alongside a crop of talent that dominated the game. It was during the period he broke into the first team that the likes of Xavi and Iniesta started getting regular action, and they became mainstays at the club. We're still getting to terms with the talent they have in the game presently, and La Masia is already out to produce an even younger generation of talent. Adam Carvajal is already being touted as one of the best talents in the academy, and just like Lamine Yamal and even Lionel Messi all those years back, is getting serious hype for the future. Speaking of the future, it'll be really interesting to see if a current Barcelona star who has been stealing the attention this season can continue to keep up the pace. Rafinha has been on a tear, with a hat-trick against a European giant, a goal in Barcelona's biggest game of the season. Click the next video to find out just how good Rafinha is actually.